Hello everyone, Tropical Central here. Welcome back to another video. And today I am updating my house predictions for next fall's midterm elections. Obviously, we start out. I do not go. Just a reminder, just before I start out this prediction, I already filled in the safe seats, which is seats that should not be competitive next fall. And just to point out how I predict, I go off of the PVI of the district, the incumbent, the potential environment, and how the President of the United States and former Vice President Harris both did in the district in 2024. So let's get, with that all out of the way, let's get started. So, again, as always, I'm going to go from east to west, starting in Maine and ending in California. All right. Maine second district. Jared Golden right now is running for re-election, so lean Democrat for right now. Originally, it seemed like Golden may still run for a higher office, but right now he has paperwork filed for his re-election. So I have it both. I have it as a lean D because Golden is running for re-election. All right, over in New Hampshire. Pappas here in the second district is not running for re-election, but with the environment, both New Hampshire seats should be still somewhat competitive, but not that competitive. It'll be likely Democratic. Connecticut's fifth, the most competitive district in Connecticut, likely Democratic once again. All right, so New York. We have several competitive districts here that are held by Democrats and Republicans. But you can see two seats that were competitive in last year's midterm elections safe. That is New York's 22nd and New York's 18th. That's Pat Ryan and John Mannion. Both won in 2024 pretty handily, and with the environment looking favorable for the Democratic Party in 2024. I have decided 2026, my bad, in 2026 that they're going to be safe. Mannion beat the incumbent in 24 by 10 points. Pat Ryan won by 16. Yeah, they're not going to have any difficult time getting reelected. But in the other states, Josh Rowley in New York 19, lean. Actually, that's likely. Lean in the Lawler seat. Here's my reasoning. Lawler is looking like he will run for governor of the state of New York, but if he vacates that seat, it's pretty likely that Democrats will probably pick it up in next year's midterms. Let's go now to Long Island with the third, likely D, my bad. Suozzi won a pretty decisive special election, and he won re-election in 24's general pretty solidly. He should not have any trouble. And the fourth, this is Gillen's seat. Lean, like Republicans could just try to get D'Esposito back, but again, the environment, lean D for right now, but it could always change. And New York's first, likely Republican. So, with that, we're right now at 186 for both parties, going down to New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Let's start with New Jersey. Not the ninth. Trump won this district in a fluke poor performance by the Democratic Party. Pooh, not going to be in trouble. She's going to win. In Tom Kaine's seat, Trump won that district pretty handily. He probably would have won that district pretty handily anyway. I'm going to say Lenar for right now, but again, it's going to be very competitive going into next year. So Lenar for now, but it could end up being a Democratic seat after the midterm elections. All right, next up is Pennsylvania's 8th. Lenar. Trump won that district pretty handily, I believe. The PVI continues to move towards the Republican Party. Matt Cartwright somehow defied the odds in 22, but he lost in 24. I don't see him or any Democrat right now winning that seat, but it can always change. In the 7th, pure toss-up, but I do tilt it towards Democrats just based on how close it was on the level last year and how the environment. I see it going tilting towards the Democrats right now, especially knowing how swingy that district can be. In the 1st district, Trump somehow lost this district. I don't know how, but he somehow lost it. But Republicans have a strong incumbent. He should not lose unless there's a huge blue wave, which, yeah, that's possible. But even in the blue wave in 2018, Fitzpatrick did better than Scott Perry, who will be next on this prediction. I think Fitzpatrick is pretty solid here. Over in Pennsylvania, 10th, I believe that is. Lean Democratic. Scott Perry's probably done. Like, he almost lost in a very good year for Republicans. He had trouble in 2 very good years for congressional Republicans in the national environment. Yeah, he's done. I think he might be done. He might be screwed in a Democratic environment. But we might never know. He might still pull it off. But right now, it's not looking very good for him. Over here in Pennsylvania, 17th. Not going to be competitive in a blue lean year like 2026 probably will be. Likely Democratic for right now. We'll move over to Ohio. They're getting new maps, but right now, based on what I know, based on what's happened in recent elections, Ohio's first. I have shifted it from likely Democratic to safe Democratic for right now. Obviously, it could change. All of these Ohio ratings could change once the new maps come out. So, yeah. So right now, Ohio 9. Capture probably is either retiring or if she does, this. If she doesn't, this. Like, I don't, like, they're going to try to gerrymander her out. Like, it's going to be close, but I see Republicans picking it up. It might be the year. Like, there's always some flukes in the party who gets waived that they somehow flukishly win a seat. I think that might be Ohio 9, but again, we'll see. Anyways, Ohio 7, likely Republican. Again, Cleveland area could get very competitive in a blue wave year-ish, like what next year seems to be heading towards, but still not going to be too competitive. Max Miller is going to be fine. Amelia Sykes, Lean D, again, got to figure out what the hell is going to happen with the new maps, but Lean D for sure right now. All right, over to Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. Virginia 7. Lean D. It would be likely if it was anyone and if the incumbent was not Eugene Vindman. Vindman is a terrible candidate. He almost choked away that seat last year. I think he's a terrible candidate. He will definitely lose in the red. He will definitely have lost in if another year like 2024 happens in like 2030. If there's a Democratic president, he's losing. So Lean D for right now, but he's definitely going to have a ton of trouble once 28 or 30 comes. It's going to be bad for him. Virginia 2, lean Republican for right now, but Higgins will be a big frontline Republican to defend next year. But lean R for right now for Higgins' seat. North Carolina 1, lean D for right now. It's quickly shifting towards the right. This may be the last year where like this seat is not going to be spent a ton of time on, I think, but it's still going to be very competitive. But it'll be a frontline seat for many, many years now. just because it's a blue wave doesn't mean some competitive seats won't be too competitive for the incumbent Democrats, such as John Davis in North Carolina. North Carolina 13, second. Sorry, that's not the 13th. Likely Democratic. Sanford Bishop should not have a challenge next year. If he does, that would be a huge surprise. In Tennessee 5, yeah, Andy Ogles is going to have a race if the scandal turns out to be worse than the FBI search turns out to be worse than what it has been seeming like. But yeah, it could be competitive, likely for right now. All right, up into the Midwest. Uh, this is where Trump did pretty good a year ago, and it's where he usually does somewhat well with working class voters. He does very well with them. So let's go. So in Michigan's 10th district, John James retiring. Till R. Michigan's 7th. That's Barrett till R. Those two are going to be very, very crucial for the Republicans to retain the House. If both of those fall, Democrats are going to have the majority of the House. So those are very important to hold for the Republicans. They are Republican leaning. That's why they keep the tilt Republican moniker. But I wouldn't be surprised if those fall. And if those two fall, Democrats probably take the House. McDonald-Livet seat, that is going to be lean Democratic, even though Trump won that district. All right, over here in Indiana's first, likely Democratic. It's not really going to be competitive next year due to the environment that's going to happen next year probably. Frank Mervyn is going to be fine. All right, Illinois 17, likely Democratic. Again, the type of environment, he's going to be fine probably. All right, Wisconsin, another state that could change the maps. Right now, I'm leaning towards Wisconsin free being tilt Democrat and likely Republican for Wisconsin 1. But obviously, those ratings could change based on what happens with the new maps that come out of Wisconsin, because with the liberal majority now officially put in place in Wisconsin, the congressional map is probably going to be tossed, and we'll see what happens. But tilt Democrat right now for Wisconsin's 3rd district. Minnesota. I forgot to fill in these safe districts here. My bad. Alright. Minnesota 2nd. Angie Craig is looking like she has soft launched a campaign for either Senate or governor with her town halls in the 4 Republican-leaning districts. If she retires, this. But if she doesn't, this. So right now, I'm keeping it as likely Democratic. But if she retires, it could get more competitive. Alright, over in Minnesota 1, likely Republican. Again, wave years could cause surprises, so Minnesota 1 is not safe for Republicans. Alright, Iowa. Like you are here in the 2nd of Iowa. And the 1st of Iowa. That's a lean Democratic seat. Marinette Miller Meeks, she could also be pretty much screwed. Like, she is probably the most vulnerable. Over to Don Bacon, she's the most vulnerable incumbent Republican. I think she might be cooked. Alright, over in Iowa's 3rd, tilt Republican. Again, if it's a good year for Democrats could have 2 seats in Iowa when it's all said and done. But again, it's Iowa. Things could change. And it could just be Marinette Miller and Meeks that suffers a blow. That's what I have right now. But Iowa could end up having 2 Democratic representatives. All right, Nebraska 2. A narrow lean Democratic seat in a lean Democratic rating in the Republican seats. Don Bacon. This could be finally the year Democrats take down Don Bacon. Yeah, went for Harris and Biden and back-to-back presidential elections after going Republican every year but '08. So 3 of the last 5, he went to the Democratic Party. And yeah, Don Bacon, it might be finally time for him to go down to defeat. All right, now Florida and Texas. We'll start over in Florida. I have likely Republican here in the 7th District. We just saw in the 6th District how Volusia County shifted pretty decently to the left, in the special in the 6th. But I'm not going to take that too much into consideration. But in an environment like this, Volusia definitely could, and with Seminole and Volusia here, definitely could be a very big play if Corey Mills ends up being unpopular enough where he will be in trouble. But right now, it seems like he'll not be in trouble and he should be fine. And Darren Soto, same thing. He should be fine. It'll be a surprise if he loses. Same with Moskowitz in the 23rd, likely Democrat, but those 2 seats will be competitive due to how the big rightward shift in Florida has taken in the last 6 years. And finally, in Florida's 13th, this. Yeah, I think Pinellas is still a swing county, and with how things are going, Pinellas definitely could send a Democrat back to Congress. So, yeah. Anna Paulina Luna better look out for her challenge from the Democrats. But she's still pretty favored. Alright, over here in Texas's districts here in the Rio Grande Valley. This is likely Republican because of how red it has gotten in the last 4 years. Alright, now the Cuellar and Gonzalez seats. Gonzalez's seat, I'm moving it from tilt Democrat to lean Democrat based on the environment. But I am keeping Cuellar's seat in tilt Democrat right now because he is under indictment. He has a trial coming up soon. And if he has to resign, Republicans could take that seat, and it'll be a very costly seat, but an environment still would go Democrats' way. But if the Democrats would win that special, I think it'll be lean D. All right, going up to the southwest, the Four Corners, New Mexico second. If it right now likely Democratic here. Yeah, Vasquez should be pretty solid from here on out. That seat is more Democratic. Trump almost won it, but this seat is pretty solidly Democratic now. Up here in Colorado, these 2 seats are likely Republican based on the third, based on how good of a job Democrats have been doing in that district for the last 4 years. And the fourth, Laura Boebert sucks as a candidate. She will have a competitive race. And then in the 8th, swing district, another frontline seat, till Democrat for right now. Alright, over here in Arizona, I see Crane winning re-election, but I see Democrats picking up these 2 seats right here. Right, again, environment-wise, those 2 seats were swing seats in 24 and 22. In a good environment like what Democrats are hoping 26 will be, they're probably going to flip. And up in Utah, new maps that's going to come from Utah is going to make that a Democrat lean seat. So obviously, it's been my logic the last few times to rate that lean Democrat until the new maps officially put in what the PVI is going to be. So Democrats lean D in the Utah's 4th or whatever district is going to be. So yeah, over in Nevada, like whoops, I fucked that up right there. But Nevada, likely D in all of them. Not going to be a good year for Republicans in those districts. Despite Trump winning 2 of them, to the Lee district, all 4 Free Democrats in those districts won re-election pretty decently. They should hold on with a very good win there for all 3 of them. In Oregon, Bynum, lean Democrat. Same with Gluesenkamp Perez. With Washington Free moving more to the left. Gluesenkamp Perez, with a pretty decent win here, could be in office for a pretty long time. And finally, before I head to California, let's go over to Montana and Alaska. Lean likely Republican here in the Zinke seat, and lean Republican in Alaska. But as you can see, before I even got to California, the Democrats are at 218. That is the House majority. So let's see what we got here in California. Likely Republican here in this seat, the Kevin Kiley seat. Could be competitive, but I don't see it happening right now. Over here in the valley, likely lean because of how competitive it was 2 years ago. Well, not 2 years ago, just in November. This seat is going to pretty competitive. Valadeo is going to be a hard one to defeat, and with not now with our PVI, that's going to be a lean Republican. Whitesides also is going to be pretty solid here. He's good to go. Lean Democratic. All right. Down here in the SoCal, likely Democratic, lean Democratic. In these final 2 seats, I have this being lean Democrat, and I have this being Republican, this being tilt Democrat. So, with that, my prediction stands 225 Democrats, 210 Republicans. Democrats have picked up a gain of 10 seats. From 2024 to 2026, Democrats get 10 seats. Obviously, these are going to be changing all throughout the next 18 months or so. But with right now how it looks, Democrats are in very good shape to take back the House. But everything it contains, new maps could come out in states where they're getting challenged. Trump could turn this whole thing around. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you watched this entire video. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.